Board members, the board's fair to take their place today, so it's time for the regular meeting of the Howell Township Board of Education. Roll call. Mr. German, present. Dr. Rose, present. Mrs. Miller. Mrs. Mangano. Here. Mr. Miller. Here. Mrs. Overton. Present. Mr. Thor.
Good evening.
Mr. Conjavano.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
A quorum is present. We will rise to salute the flag and please remain standing as we hear the rendition of the national anthem from Florida Hope Lucati, Jack Connor, Emily Muscarella, and Akia Okora Gahom, second graders from Dribbling, and then an announcement by the president. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
We have certificates for the oxygen?
Yes, let's do this when we can get it. Okay, so I'd like them to join us back on the podium. So right now, I got the table.
Yeah.
You got one?
Yeah.
We got it.
Come on. Steve, you hold.
Okay. Can the talented young artist approach? Yes. First of all, Laura Shalaki. Kopak. I'm sorry. There you go. Congratulations. Well done. John Connor. Very good. Terrific. Emily Muscarella. All right. And Akua Opori Behomi. Akuya. I'm so sorry. Behomi. All right. Thank you. And wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, you did a fantastic job here tonight. And let's hear another big round of applause.
There you go. Good job. Hold your certificates up.
time.
Again, if we could just remain standing for one moment, we appreciate that.
Folks, recently, as every family mourns, we lost two people that we care about very deeply in the district. A young student, Lane East, and a valued employee, colleague, and friend in development. I know you sort of saw those people in mourn tonight, but I was hoping we could have a moment of silence in their memory. Thank you. Mr. Isola, do you have anything to add?
Sure, just real briefly, loss is always a challenging time in a family's journey, and to experience the loss of both a wonderful young 8th grade boy who had a smile that can light up any room, and a companion, a friend, a person who spent 20 years serving this school district are just really difficult and hard for us to proceed and move on. But the fact of the matter is, in their memory, we must. And I know both, certainly knew Linda well, and I know that's what she would want this district to do, to continue to prevail in her honor. And as speaking briefly with Lane's dad on a couple of occasions, I know he is so appreciative of the district's support for the family, and he wants us to continue to go on and take care of the children the way we did, in fact, do with Lane. So I appreciate everyone's thoughts and prayers for those families and members of our community, and we appreciate that greatly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We have a busy agenda tonight, but one of the things that we have to do is recognition.
Absolutely, sir. Please. Awesome. So, first of all, good evening and welcome to our meeting here this evening. It's always a great honor and privilege when we take the opportunity to see some of our young talented students and take the further opportunity to recognize some of the great staff that makes things such as that possible, and the innovative work that they do. So we will start our evening tonight with putting the podium back in front of the room, and with recognizing our great partners at Memorial Elementary School and Aldrich School, who Memorial first, Mr. Greg, come on up and speak a little bit to the work that's happening in his school, Memorial School, and as our friends will motion first, I gave to somebody, I apologize. My good friend, motion first, come up. I apologize. Darlene Marina and George Stephanie, come on up and join Mr. Greta. And do we have board members, sir? We do. Do we have any signs? So Ocean First, as you all know, is a local bank here in New Jersey, and they do a very competitive grant process. And two of our schools were fortunate enough to be awarded $10,000 grants. Due to the fine application process and thought process that our staff put into that to bring innovative programs to our schools and for our students. Now I'm going to leave a few lines left for Mr. Greta to intro that. Don't give me dirty looks, remember. All right, Mr. Greta.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just to speak quickly about the Ocean First grant that was won at Memorial. The outdoor classroom for the Peaceful Path is a grant opportunity that will allow Memorial School to build a model classroom outside in our garden area. The classroom will be a flexible learning environment that will allow students opportunities to learn various subjects while reaping the benefits of outdoor learning. Sensory stimulation and movement are a key part to our grant. It'll be a truly personalized and inclusive area where all of our abilities and learning styles can be met. The grant will allow for stations including outdoor whiteboards and clipboards, a sensory guard and mindful thinking area, learning in motion area, shaded reading area with outdoor furniture, a friendship bench, strategy games, and much, much more. And Mrs. Donzelli keeps adding to our list every day. But the focus point of the garden will also be a circular peace path, constructed from our student-created stones, showing each of our students' uniqueness. And in addition, we'll work on developing peace leaders with the help of Mr. Savino's class, who will take the lead in sharing this space with the entire school. And again, this work was a true team effort by wonderful teachers in our district, and we are thankful to them. We are also thankful to our PTA, to the Board of Ed, our administration, and obviously Ocean First for allowing us this opportunity. So thank you all for that. We look forward to cutting the ribbon in the spring and inviting everybody out to see that. So, yes, absolutely. So with that, our amazing staff that is here, Jennifer Stenard, come on up. Sky Donzelli. Sonia Rivera. Michael Savino. Mr. Savino. Laura Gruby. Katie Stigliano. Still a bulldog, Mrs. Stigliano. You left him. Samantha Murillo. And my vice principal, Chrissy Reno.
So, if the Memorial team and our Ocean First guests could just assemble for a social media pic and that would be awesome. Plus, everybody got it? Stay in it, that one on camera. Good. Awesome. And at this point of the evening, I'd like Mr. Smith to join us here at the podium, as not only did we win one $10,000 grant, we were fortunate enough to win two $10,000 grants. And while Mr. Smith was able to join us the evening of the announcement, I know he wanted to be there but had some conflicts. He couldn't share that night, but I wanted to make sure I had the opportunity to share the wonderful excitement that Aldridge has tonight. So here you go.
Thank you, Mr. Isola. We just wanted to thank Ocean First for considering our grant and eventually awarding us, and to the Board of Education for their support as well. It was truly a team effort. Aldridge with the grant. Aldridge will convert the media center into a makerspace, creating a space where all types of learners will feel successful. The classroom will foster a maker's mindset by providing students with opportunities to figure things out on their own, construct and create solutions to problems, and really test themselves as they create things. The Aldridge team wanted to design a space for all students because of our diverse population. With the grant money, we will be providing flexible seating in the media center and create 5 maker space stations, which feature building, robotics, the Make Her space for girls, Make Her, the play on there. Video production and 3D creation as well. So it was truly a group effort. As a matter of fact, you talk about perseverance. We applied 2 years, is that right, ladies? And just we didn't lose. We didn't receive the grant, but through perseverance and refinement and really taking a look at what we needed for our space, I think we won because of, like I said, our perseverance and our teamwork, and we included our speech therapists and our special education department into the grant as well. So through a team effort, we want to thank the Ocean First for providing us with this grant. All right, so our team includes Ms. Marlene Brown, our vice principal. Ms. Erin Gorski. Mrs. Gorski is our media specialist. Thank you. Our technology specialist, computer teacher Evelyn Carney. And I don't know if she's present, but our speech therapist Serena Berkowitz was included in the grant, and special education teacher Michael Fleming also. So I want to thank everyone for their support.
Just be pictured one more time, all right? So as Mr. Smith mentioned 2 years ago, the folks at Aldridge applied and were not awarded the winning grant, but Ocean First doesn't leave they recognize the hard work that the schools go through, and they were given a gift card that evening, I think of $250. And this year, the same was true because Howell had at least 4 applications that were considered by Ocean First. I'm not sure what happened to the other 2, George, but, you know, the state took a lot of money from this district, so. But they were so gracious, I believe, to give $500 gift cards this year to everyone who submitted a meaningful grant and went through the process. So not only did 2 of our schools receive $10,000 grants, 2 other schools received $500 gift cards to go to seed money to start their work. So we're very much appreciative of the work that Ocean First does with its school partners, and we wanted to give you an opportunity to say good evening tonight. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I could probably do this a lot shorter now. Thank you, Superintendent. I appreciate the kind words. I do just want to tell a little bit about the program and just how much of an accomplishment it was for Howell had 2 recipients. There was a total of 144 applications throughout the bank's footprint, and of that 144 applications, 25 of those folks, those schools were able to secure the $10,000 grants, 2 of them being right here in Howell. So congratulations to the folks here in Howell. That's a job well done. I will tell you that overall, I'm happy to be here talking about the Ocean First Foundation, Ocean First Bank. The Ocean First Foundation has provided over $36 million in grants to the communities that we serve. And if you think about that, that's really the communities here. This is Ocean County, Monmouth County, Middlesex County, and Point South. So this is real impacts that we're making in the community. Of that $36 million, about $1.9 million of that went into education. Those are projects for schools, libraries, classrooms. So that's a real heavy investment that we make because it's something that the organization believes in as a whole. In addition to that, there was another $2.2 million that was going out for school scholarships. And that's the schools that are in our market, right? It's Georgia Court, it's Ocean County College, it's Brookdale. These are the schools here that everyone here in this room, as I'm sure, is aware of. So Ocean First is very committed to the community. We're very committed to making sure that education is a priority, and we're pleased to be here. I don't get the opportunity to come up and hand out checks very often, so I appreciate the opportunity. It's great to come out. It's great to have a minute of your time, so thank you, and congratulations again. Thank you, everybody.
So continuing along with this evening's recognitions, With your permission, sir, we'd like to continue to move on.
We have Steve.
Steve Magg is next. We're going to ask our wonderful Director of Innovation and Digital Learning, Claire Engels, to come on up and intro Steve Magg.
Good evening, everyone. Steam Tank is a challenge that is pits students of teams of students against each other, and they present their innovative ideas to a panel very similar to Shark Tank. And this year we had several teams that went on to the regionals from the middle school, and the team that we're actually honoring this evening, and I'll save all of the place winnings for Mr. Langenberger so he can have the honor to let the crowd know what they placed in. These individuals really persevered. I know Mr. Smith talked about that with his team submitting an application for the second time for a grant. But when they went down to the finals at the school board's convention, they presented down there, and just as they were about to advance their slides, nothing advanced. And I remember the look on Connor's face, I think it was. He was like deer in headlights. It reminded me of the big-eyed emoji. And it was like, what do I do? But immediately, the three fine individuals, these boys, they just kept with it. They were right on track. I think the innovative project that they put together and all of the things that they had, the backup, you name it, they had everything for the judges that they didn't even need the presentation. And when you hear their place winning, you'll be quite impressed of that ability to just continue and stand up there and give a presentation without a hiccup. It was really impressive to see. So first I'd like to call out Mr. Langenberger. Students such as this really don't excel without a fine advisor and an individual that really helps them, guides them, gives them critiques, feedback along the way. And Mr. Langenberger, with the support of the board and administration, really continues to provide these opportunities for students. So thank you so much. Mr. Langenberger kind of introduce the students and their innovative project.
This is really a unique opportunity. About the same time last year, I was standing in front of a group of students, 7th grade students, and I said, hey, how would you like to try something new? It's called Steam Tank, where you get to pretend like you're pitching a real idea. And I was very fortunate that I had this class arrange themselves into 5 groups. From those 5 groups, 3 of them were selected to present in the regionals. It was really a unique opportunity to hear all of their ideas and to take them through this creative process. As I said, it began a year ago, so it's funny that a year fast forward, here we are standing, but very delightfully so. I've had the distinct honor and privilege of having the opportunity to really just journey with these students as they've done something absolutely incredible, astounding, between their innovation idea, the time and effort they put into this. It is, again, really my privilege to have worked with these students in providing the opportunity. And again, with the support of Howell Township and the school board, we were able to do something that I think is incredible. In the beginning, even though we're here celebrating the end, or in a sense the award itself, I think for these 3 students, it really marks the beginning of an incredible journey for each of them. I'm going to invite them up in a minute, and they're going to talk a little bit about their idea and share what they did. I know some school board members were there and saw it, but I know all of them haven't. And what I'd also like them to do is take the opportunity from the competition to share with you what they've done since that point, because they've moved forward and progressed with their idea. So I'd like them to share that as well. And the great honor I have is, last year I was able to have a team that was honored with 3rd place. This year, I'm very privileged to say that our team took 1st place in the state of New Jersey in the middle school division. So, gentlemen, when I call your name, just step forward, please. Connor Morin.
Dante Missy. And Daniel Mikosh. Now, I'd like to, they're excellent at presentation skills, and I did preface them by saying they would be speaking a little bit tonight. So I'd like to just give them the floor for a few moments to share with you a little glimpse.
Why don't we picture it?
What, picture it, and then they can share?
And watch it in a more comfortable way. Just tilt this way.
All right, we're ready? No PowerPoint presentation tonight, but I do want them to take an opportunity to share it with them.
So our innovation was called Safe Bus Plus. It's a school bus safety system, and it utilizes sensors in the seatbelt and under the seat to detect if a student is sitting and has their seatbelt on. All the information from all the different seats would be processed by a programming logical controller, which is better known as a PLC, and it would be displayed on a monitor in which the bus driver could see who's sitting, who has their belt on, who's not sitting, and there would be an audio cue when someone either unbuckles or stands up at an inappropriate time, so that it would prevent constant screen checking. So after this competition, our science teacher, Ms. Gianellis, helped us receive $600 and a GoFundMe. It was actually a donor's choice. And with that money, we bought a Raspberry Pi, we brought documentation, we have I think camcorder we got, and other things. And we were also even considering to look into getting a provisional patent, so hopefully we could continue with this idea and make it come on.
And we just want to thank everyone who helped us get to the point where we are now. Without any of them, we wouldn't be where we are standing right here, so thank you.
They're being a little modest in that they forgot that they were also invited back after our presentation to give another presentation at another convention on, I think it's School
Transportation Supervisors Association.
So they were invited to come back and give another presentation because there's some legislation that's changing in terms of school bus safety, and their idea seems to fit perfectly in line with the direction that this school bus safety seems to be working. So gentlemen, congratulations again, you did an outstanding job and you represented Howell. Howell certainly leads every day.
So I saw that you hear so much about these great think tanks at all the universities, right? Where innovations have changed our society come out. But it looks like Howell jumped the starting line there and is way ahead. To have our middle schoolers exhibiting this level of entrepreneur, creativity, ingenuity is incredible. And thank you to all the staff and thank you to the parents who supported it. And most of all, thank you to the three of you for showing us what can be done. Amazing. Well done. Cheers.
We're certainly very proud of the work that our youngsters are doing across the district, and just another fine example of that. And I guess we're not surprised anymore, right? It's becoming a little something we're used to, and I have to thank Josh Leinberger for the fine work he does. Last year, he was also had teams down there in the finals, and did it again this year. We had elementary school, Newberry folks followed the lead and had regional teams compete. So it's really taking on a life of its own here. We're really excited about it because it's that type of thinking that will lead them to a adult life that is what they'll need to be successful in tomorrow's world, because it is changing every minute. And you've heard the cliche, we have to teach them skills for jobs we don't know that will exist, right? But when they can think and problem solve like we see them doing, we know they have a bright future no matter what it is ahead of them. So congratulations to our proud Huskies. Great job. Speaking about pride, I always take great pride in working closely with our friends from the Howell Township Education Foundation, and I know Mr. Chairman represents the board as the liaison, was a past member of that board, and we have in the audience tonight, and we'll be presenting grant recipients tonight, Val Rosenberg, who is our chair of our foundation, along with Patty Blood, one of the board members that sit on that board. And the work they do is amazing. It is absolutely out of their passion for this school district and the children and the families of this community. This is not a high-powered corporation that has a foundation. These are local folks that just were always active in our school district. 100% of the money they raise comes back to our staff and students to do innovative projects and create innovative learning environments within the classrooms. And both Val and Patty, I can't tell you how honored we are as a school district, and I know I speak on behalf of the board as well in this circumstance, to say that the work we do as a foundation is so meaningful. And if you come on up and introduce this year's grant winners and share that information with us, we'd love it.
Mr. Miller and Mr. German will be joining them today.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzola, and thank you, the board, for inviting us here this evening. Tonight, tonight is the highlight, the culmination of a year's work for those of us in the foundation. Awarding the grants is truly our passion. Over the past 10 years, the foundation has awarded over $125,000 in grants to the Howell staff. Each year, we strive to give as many grants as the capital will allow. Before we recognize tonight's recipients, just a word about the process. About mid-year, a letter goes out to the staff explaining the program, the timeline, and the requirements for the applications. Once they're returned to the board office, Mrs. Stevenson routes them to the supervisor, and they review them, and they sign off on them, and then they go back to her, and she redacts all the school information and the applicant's name. So the process is truly anonymous at that point. Then the applications are given to the grant committee, they review them, and they prioritize them, and then they sit for a little while we raise money. And this year we have 3 fundraising events. We have a Bricks to Educate, which is ongoing all year. We have a breakfast with Santa at the Howell Applebee's. It will be on December 2nd this year, and then in the spring we have our Race to Educate. Once our funding is in place, we relook at all the grants and then we award as many as we can. I would like to thank 2 people. First, Jackie Tennant has spearheaded this process for us for many years. She left us this year, and I think we're going to be a little bit lost, but we're going to struggle through it. Also, Mrs. Trudy Stevenson, who has been our support on the administrative side for the grant program and many, many other things that she's helped us with. So I'd like to thank both of them for making the whole grant program very successful. And now I'd like to ask Mrs. Blood and Mr. Gurman if they would recognize the recipients and issue the certificates.
Good evening. The first award that we're presenting tonight is an award that is near and dear to many of us who have been involved in the Howell Township School District for years, and I certainly know that it's near and dear to those of you who are employed as faculty member and staff here in Howell Township. And that is the award or grant that is given in honor of the former Howell Township Education Association President, Bill O'Brien. The award is given as a testament to someone who is involved or a program that is serving the community. Community service is so important. It was important to Mr. O'Brien and to the HDEA in all the years that I knew of his involvement. We are particularly pleased this year to award the Bill O'Brien Grant in the amount of $965.23 to the project entitled Encouraging the Love of Reading, One Neighborhood at a Time. And it is a combination of the Ordina and Ramtown schools and the teachers who presented the grant were Renee LaFonte and Christine Veracierta.
Ms. Flood, we're just gonna, we'll picture that before you vote.
Yes, absolutely.
We'd love to have you in that.
Wow. Did you notice that I This year, the foundation is particularly pleased to be awarding $7,655.22 to the following grant recipients. Well, I guess do them one at a time. For Middle School South, Grade 7 Science, Project Keep, Josh Langenberger. $999. The next grant, Battle of the Books, Year 2, in the amount of $963 to grade 3 teachers at Aldrich, Kimberly Kazam, and Ashley Tyrone. Unlock Learning, the grade 3 teachers at Aldrich in $800, also Kimberly Kazan and Ashley Tyrone. And again, proof that we, as we go through the grants, it really is a fair practice where we have no idea who they are being presented by. The next grant in the amount of $1,000, Mindful Movement, Taunton School, Jennifer Corey. The project titled Reinventing the iPad, One Osmo at a Time, in the amount of $988, grade 1 teacher from Gribling, Emily Tully. Outdoor Classroom for the Peaceful Path in the amount of $980. From Memorial School, Mike Savino and Sky Gonzelli. The next project, May the Force Be With You, exploring next generation science, electromagnetic forces using snapped circuits. Good thing I know what the next generation science standards are. It's NGSS. Did you know that? No, see. In the amount of $927.80. Grade 7 Science, Middle School South, Danielle Gianellis. Student News Network in the amount of $997.42 from Ramtown School, Stephen Rao and Christine Veracierta. And that concludes our presentation. So now we all get to pose for a picture.
If you're an administrator or your teachers out there who bring the innovative practices, get on it. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, come on, that's it. Because the administration needs the support staff to get programs like this off the ground. You're in it.
You know, folks, before we go to our next presentation, I'd like to thank Mrs. Rosenberg and Mrs. Blood again. Not everyone may know, but they, in addition to their incredible service on the Howell Township Education Foundation, both are longstanding board member alumni here, and we thank them for that service as well. Thank you again. Let's hear it.
So much more for this board and community to be proud of. This year, we had one of our schools, Memorial Elementary School, receive bronze level certification for Sustainable New Jersey. And we are so excited about that. And I know we're working hard in all 12 buildings to further that work. And we're excited about that. So at this point, if Mr. Grant will come up, Mr. O'Brien, and show you how it's done. I have a feeling that Mr. Malley will be joining us.
We're very, very passionate about sustainability.
Try to make this quick. I know it's been a late night. But Sustainable Jersey for Schools, the program for pre-K to 12th grade. And the program itself is voluntary, but achieving certification is certainly not easy. Each school that's certified must submit documentation to show it's completed a balanced portfolio and of all their sustainability actions. So most of those actions are worth about 10 points. Bronze level is set at 150 points. So you can see by doing the simple math, it's a lot of different things that our school needed to do in order to become bronze level certified. At the New Jersey School Boards Conference this year, we were recognized, and thankful to have Mrs. Malley and Mr. Sanisak join us at the awards dinner, where our Memorial Elementary School was recognized for their bronze level certification. The school green team, which is a collection of teachers and administrators, worked in conjunction with the district to plan and execute many activities, ranging from conducting energy audits to designing classroom lessons focused on sustainability and energy efficiency. It's certainly a significant achievement for our staff and an absolutely total team effort from all of the wonderful people at Memorial Elementary School. And we are thankful to all of our staff for that. We're very thankful to our administration as well and the Board of Ed for supporting that. And Mrs. Malley has been a big proponent of that from the time I've met her. And we definitely appreciate all of that recognition. So thank you, and thank you to our teachers very much for doing the heavy lifting of that. All right. With that, we have Michael Savino. Come on up. Close you up. Jen Stenard. Jennifer Sweetenham. Chris Reno.
Congratulations to Memorial Bulldogs on a big night for the Bulldogs. And Mr. O'Brien, it's my recommendation to take a few minute recess here.
Yes, the board will be in recess for a few minutes until we take up the rest of our business. Thank you.
Thanks, we will be back in session. We have one more presentation, Mr. O'Brien.
Mr. Isola, would you take point on this?
Yeah, absolutely. As we took an opportunity earlier this meeting to take a moment of silence and recognition of some difficult loss that our school district and our community went through, I thought it would be appropriate to ask for our partners from the Traumatic Loss Coalition who were helpful within our schools during that time to just kind of update the board a little bit on the work that they do in the partnership. And our staff, Gina Carvin, Gina Ravone, and all those Gina's here, and she'll come up and give a little prelude to the work and introduce our guests.
Good evening. The Traumatic Loss Coalition for Youth program, which we call the TLC, is New Jersey's primary suicide prevention program funded by the New Jersey Department of Children and Families, Division of Family and Community Partnerships. The TLC program is an interactive statewide network offering training, collaboration, and support to professionals working with school-age youth. The dual mission of the TLC is excellence in both suicide prevention and trauma response assistance to schools following sudden losses due to suicide, homicide, accident, and illness. This is accomplished through county, regional, and statewide conferences, training, consult, and technical assistance. The purpose of the TLC is to ensure that those working with the youth from a variety of disciplines and programs have up-to-date knowledge about mental health issues, suicide prevention, trauma response, and resiliency enhancement. The TLC has operated as a county-based collaborative since 2000 with a TLC coordinator in each county. The county coordinators provide coalition meetings throughout the year, bringing together school personnel, mental health clinicians, juvenile justice personnel, law enforcement officials, social services agencies, and child welfare workers. The meetings are effective forums for reviewing crisis events, identifying service needs, and providing professional development throughout the inclusion of an educational presentation. Tonight, I'd like to introduce our Monmouth County TLC coordinator, Heather Soto. She has been our coordinator since 2015, and along by her side, we have our state TLC coordinator, Maureen Brogan, and she has been our state coordinator since 2014. If you'd like to come up. I'd just like to thank Heather. She supported us a couple weeks ago at Middle School South and at Ramtown, and she was there when I needed her to call at all hours of the night, so I'd like to thank her for her support and helping to support the district.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for having us here this evening, and also to our condolences, because we know when we're called in that something bad happened. So a lot of times when first of all, I like to say, we're only go into schools when we're invited in. So although there is a push at different state levels, and I sit on several state committees with the Board of Ed and the Department of Children and Families, a push to make like TLC services mandatory, we always say we don't want to be mandatory. We want to build relationships. We only want to go in when we're invited in. It should not be a mandated thing. and it's building the relationship. So I want to say thank you, because that requires a level of trust. And not many people do this. Like when people ask like what I do for a living, and I say like, oh, I'm the Traumatic Loss Coalition Coordinator. First of all, they're usually like, well, that doesn't sound like much fun. But the part that my staff, and we have a county coordinator, but also our teams are all volunteers. So we have teams in every county that range from team sizes of 20 to up to like 40 people. So we have hundreds of people in the state of New Jersey that volunteer to do this work when there is a traumatic event. And the traumatic event can range, as mentioned, from illnesses to up to I think the most difficult ones to respond to are when there's a death by suicide. And people don't know what to do. What we like to do when we're working with schools or youth serving organizations is work with them as if that was the case. Because whenever there's a traumatic loss, you're running on emotion. You're going by what is your gut telling you to do? What is your heart telling you what to do? One of the helpful things about the TLC is we're going on what is best practice. We're not emotionally involved or invested in what is going on in the school the way that all of you are, the way that our teachers are, the way that the students are going through it. So to have a voice that comes out to say, hey, we think that this might be a better way to handle this recommendation makes sense, because you have someone who's not emotionally involved, who, like I said, when we're not responding, what is my job is to go around the country and find out what are other best practices. How do we handle different events? How do we make ourselves available? The last thing we want to do when we go in is create any more harm. We want to promote the healing process and promote resiliency. That's really what we're about, really the hope and the healing aspect. You know what? And if you didn't call the TLC in, you'd get there anyway. You know what I mean? Let's face it, human beings are basically resilient, and our students, whether we're involved or not, do bounce back. What we've seen and what has been the trend and the feedback that we've gotten is that when we are called in to be of support or be helpful, that we kind of move it along a little faster. We get back to that new normal and get back to functioning at the pre-traumatic event. So again, I really want to say thank you for inviting us in. We also will do consultation before there's any type of crisis and work with schools around their crisis planning. All the things too that we are trained and also spend our whole career spending our time being like, what should we do? What is best practice? How do we prepare for the worst and hope that we never have to use this policy or this procedure? People don't always think that way because we don't think about what is like the worst case scenario. A lot of times that's where we're going. What would be the worst case scenario? We also have the ability to kind of share with schools when we're invited in what may have worked and what might have backfired with other schools. And by the way, we never share what school like we've been in. We don't keep notes. You know, some people say, you're clinical staff, and they get very nervous because they're like, what are you doing? I'll own it. I've been called by attorneys because there were things that they were concerned about bullying, and they find me absolutely useless. Because we don't keep notes, we don't keep names, we just say, hey, we're there to provide hope and healing and support. So when there's something that becomes with the legal system, we're not involved. We're just offering the school guidance, and we're there to support the school and the students. And then that's what we like to say that our mission is, and that's what we've been true to for these years since 2000. Lots of things come up when there's a loss, you know, like from how do we tell the students, you know, and believe it or not, there's like guidelines on this is a better way to tell students than this way. But who would really know that? You know, like, it's not what our teachers went to school for. It's probably not what even our counselors went to school for. It's not what our superintendents went. That's what we're here for. And that we better be up to date on what's going on. What is the research saying? Why we should be doing certain things this way? One of the things too is that comes up quite frequently is the issue of memorialization. And we're consulted a lot. Sometimes we're not called into the school. We're just asked by a superintendent or a principal or even a guidance or sometimes even a board of education to come in and give them some ideas of what are guidelines or why are certain decisions made. And with memorialization, it's really tough because you have to treat every single death the same. And that's really, really hard. Because, like I said, we respond to deaths by suicide, and there's definitely steps that you have to take to make sure you're not promoting any kind of contagion, because you don't want to lose another life. And when there's a death by suicide, your whole community is at higher risk, and exposure to a suicide is a risk factor for additional suicides. So what we tell schools is that the rule number 1, 2 of memorialization is what you do for one, you have to do for the others. That's the most important part of like whatever is done for one loss, regardless of how that loss happened, is what needs to happen. It has to be like your protocol. And that's really difficult as well, because sometimes if your protocol has certain things in place, it could become harmful or dangerous if there is an overdose death, if there is a death by suicide. So when we're guiding schools on what are some best practices, it's really going like, how do we keep our students safe? And it's also coming from what we call the traumatic sensitivity lens, like understanding that people experience and just went through a traumatic event. So also too, what might personally be very healing for me and may not be healing for other people. And for some people too. So we're also talking about giving guidelines that are culturally sensitive, you know, across the board, and also to safety. We're really big on safety, and for me, it's more of like the emotional safety than even the physical safety, although physical safety does definitely come into play when we're working with schools as well. I don't know if that gave you an idea of like what we do, but we are, like I said, last year we responded to over 156 different schools and serviced over 10,000 recipients of our services. We do appreciate when we are called in because, like I said, that there's a lot of experience and a lot of great knowledge, and we're following, you know, our best practices are approved by SAMHSA, which is the bigger federal government, to make sure that we're in line. And then people also say, like, well, what are you doing, Maureen? So we always have to justify, and we train all of our people across the state the same exact way, which also allows us for sustainability. So if something happens and that team is not big enough to get out there, that we can pull from other counties, because we all operate the same way. We're all sending the same messages. So that's really what we do. I said, you know, like, this is what I do for a living. I love my job. I really have like the best job because I get to go in and work with people when they're vulnerable, and it's actually a gift to be able to be present when someone is hurting and vulnerable and they allow you in. It's really a privilege. It's really not a job. And to help, especially when you're working with young people, to build hope and resiliency. Not many people can say that's what they do for their career. So again, I really thank you, and thanks, you know, to your superintendents too for calling us in to offer the guidance. And also too, we never tell people what to do, we just guide. Because when we go in, I tell my teams, we are guests. We are guests in their school, we're guests in their community. They know their community, and we're just there to like support and not take over, but to just say, hey, did you think of this? And maybe this is a good idea, or maybe this is something we need to talk about a little further. So, and yeah, sorry.
So I was here with your
Yes,
school.
sorry.
I had the opportunity and the privilege to be able to work alongside the administration and the staff at Howell South. And I also had the opportunity and privilege to speak with some of the teachers and the faculty at Ramstown throughout the day when I was there with them. And you guys have a really amazing school, amazing staff, amazing people who really care a lot about these kids and are so invested in ensuring that things are done well and that these kids are taken care of, their needs are met first, before their own needs. You had staff who put their own needs on a back burner because they had their own loss, they had their own experience, and they put these kids first. And it was beautiful, what they did. It made my heart really happy, and it's a privilege to be able to stand here and share that with you, because I think it's really important that you know how invested your folks out there are, how much they love these kids. And I was on the phone with them late at night, on the phone with them early in the morning, on the weekend, like the whole kit and caboodle, you know.
And they really wanted to do the right thing and do it well. And they did a beautiful job. They really supported these kids, and the administration really supported their staff in an amazing way. And I think it's important that you guys hear how valuable that was for them and what I saw just being an outsider in the school, because it is a privilege for me to be here, and it is a privilege for me to bear witness to what's going on. And I go in a lot of schools. You know, Morgan gave you statistics for the state. Last year in Monmouth County, we did 27 of those 156 responses. That's a lot of responses. You know, I'm not a math person, but that's like 1 out of 6, right? Here in Monmouth County, that was us. So, and if I did math wrong, like my math teacher, I grew up in Colorado, I wasn't here. Okay. But really, like 1 in 6, that's really amazing. And the reason for that is because this community this county has really paid attention to the fact that a loss is a loss, no matter what the reason. Every person's life is valuable. Every person's story had a purpose, however long that life is. And so this community has said that any kind of loss is valuable, and we care, and we want to step in, and we want to do the right thing. And so I applaud you guys for being part of that, and saying that this is valuable. It's valuable that we do it right. It's valuable that we do it well. And I applaud you for that.
Thank you. And thank you, both of you, for coming out tonight. I know for myself and others it's helpful to hear, and it's encouraging to hear not just about the work that you do, but about when you talk about volunteers across the state. You know, when I volunteered with Diapers, it was called Diapers years ago. I was on a child placement review board, and then looking towards CASA, and I knew that the volunteers there were incredible. I didn't even know there was another spectrum like this, but it gives you hope. It gives you a sense that people really do get it, and the fact that so many volunteers take the time, because I know based on my experience how much training goes in, how much it requires each member to receive thorough training and to be part of that team.
So I just want to back off before we say farewell, though, but in New Jersey, because sometimes I'm like, I can make a whole list of all the things we're not doing right, you know, when I'm in a mood. But also, we get calls at the TLC when from out west, down in when there's a shooting down in Florida, where they're calling us and they're like, "How do we get in touch with our Traumatic Loss Coalition in our state?" And they don't have them. So, you know, we are doing things right, and like I said, it's our partnership with the whole education and everyone involved in education that trusts us. So thank you very much, and wonderful.
I want to personally thank you, and I know how responsive you have been. I know that, you know, Gina has a great line of communication with you, and the minute that she reaches out to you, you know, there's a response, and you guys work together. And I also do want to acknowledge as well that our other districts in the county work really well together in terms of supporting each other. So when there's a need in another district, we're able to send our crisis team there to support them. And if we needed to ask for that same help, we easily could, and we know that we would have that same response back. And a lot of that is because of the common trainings that we've had, and the support that we've gotten through TLC. So I just did want to acknowledge that and thank you, because, you know, there are a lot of people who are busy and on a weekend may have other things going on, but I know for a fact that the minute that Gina reaches out to me and says, you know, she's reached out and you've already answered, and it's on a Sunday night at whatever time, you know, that says a lot about the work you do. So I just wanted to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then, sir, if I may, sir, you know, our district was faced with some really tough news just, you know, earlier in the month, and we struggled through that. And as a superintendent and senior administration and building level administration, we're faced every day to make decisions. We make decisions that impact, you know, 6,000 students every day, right? I mean, it's a massive thing. We put 6,000 kids on buses every day, right? There's so much risk that we take for granted in our work. And sitting, we were fortunate that our People Service Department, Mrs. Calendar and her group brought in Lifelines, which is another fine agency, as you know, to do a full-day training on October 8th during our professional learning day. And I had the opportunity to sit there for a while and listen to the folks that were presenting that day. And then I found myself, unfortunately, in Middle School South, and being faced with some decision-making that was clearly in my heart telling me to do something. There's no doubt, and as you all know, I tend to lead with my heart more often than not. But I heard the work that Lifelines had shared with me, and I sat with Heather and the crisis team that was assembled in the conference room of Middle School South, and I had to let the brain take over the heart for that brief moment and go through a process of decision making. And it was one of the most difficult decisions I had to make in terms of the requests we had received and how to do that. But when I thought about what our local crisis team here was saying, what Heather and the TLC was recommending, what Lifelines was recommending, again, research-based work, my understanding for that decision-making started to evolve, and I think Heather saw that happening. We made a tough decision, but I want to be on the record here this evening telling my 9 board members who I'm so blessed to work with that I stand by that decision and I believe it was the right decision. And sometimes an unpopular decision is what's needed because it's what's right for our community. And while those are difficult, I hope you appreciate that you have a leader and a team that supports him willing to do those types of thought, going through a thought process and trying to make really difficult decisions that are truly, based in a belief and an intellect that that's what's right for the students and for the staff of this school district. And Heather will probably recall, she said, Mr. Solo, I just have to tell you, you guys are good, really good. And I said, Heather, you may have to leave because we're great. And she said, you know what, you're right.
I can see you're amazing tonight.
You did. You're up in your advocates. I appreciate that. But, when I was able to just step back that day and just look at the things that were happening, all the wonderful opportunities we were providing children to go through that process as quickly as possible. And then the thought process of school should be a place that's happy. School should be a place that is comfortable for students. It shouldn't be a place that is burdened with death and mourning and the thought of that. So that was the decision that I reached. And as they said, they made recommendations. And I hold myself responsible for that decision, but I wanted to be on the record to tell you how I went through that process and how we reached it. And I think there's a fine understanding from my communication with all of you about that day. But they have it, and I want to thank certainly Heather and the entire TLC group for being so supportive and caring. And it's more, you know why you love your job? Because it's not a job. It's a belief system, and I knew that immediately when I sat and spoke with you guys. So thank you for that. I echo Mrs. Calendar's words of thanks. And I know that Gina certainly was leaning on you as in the middle of it, she was dealing with her own personal tragedy like me, and we navigated it and leaned on you a little heavier. So thank you for that. Sorry, I turn it back to you.
So that's all I can tell you is this board understands the depth of the work that you and your staff do every day for our children. The fact that it's the tip of the iceberg. What you see is only a fraction of what actually goes on every single day, and that's only possible. That's the way it has to be, because we're caring for 6,000 children and their families, and providing an environment for them where they can come in and, as you said, feel safe, feel comfortable, an environment where they can pursue academic achievements and to realize their full potential. And when things like this happen, we as a community, we are, as a district, our community, very much so. We care about each other. We saw people coming in tonight that they can't get away from us because even though they served on the board years ago, they're on the Howell Township Education Foundation, coming back to provide grants. We have folks sitting on this board who got off the board, continue to serve, our former HCF chairman there, and then come back again. There's a deep, deep commitment by everyone here at this table and all the volunteers that assist our district every day. They put their money where their mouth is. They walk the walk, and they get out there and they help kids. So this board understands and appreciates the work that you do, appreciates the fact that we have the opportunity to be proactive and lead, but also where we can't lead, we also find the best guides to help us, chart the right path for our students. So we want to thank our partners in TLC for coming out and supporting us during this difficult time. And Mr. Isola, you and your staff are to be commended for everything you do for our kids. We appreciate that work every single day. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Isola.
Thank you. You might clear my report, or we break through for that?
I believe it is time for executive session.
Yes, I need a motion to go into exec. You want to read that into the record, Mr. Senator?
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Thor.
Okay, please note the motion printed in the agenda authorizing the executive session. The topics this evening will be the HIP report, a personnel issue involving a teacher discipline referral, and a legal update on board use of social media. We are in executive session. Let the board administrators take their places today. There are no minutes this evening. It is now time for the board president's comments. The president of the board, Mr. Timothy O'Brien, your comments, sir.
Okay, thank you. First of all, for those folks who are sitting around, we apologize. We had a somewhat busy executive agenda. However, tonight we're going to have two discussion items on. One will be around social media and look at a possible first read of the policy on social media to the board, a bylaw that will govern the board's actions regarding social media. Second, we also have a discussion item around looking at the vocation education track for our district and how we can support our students. So that should be a good topic. And we saw earlier tonight, and the examples of our district's teamwork, collaboration, successes, and also how we come together as a community to support each other during times of loss. This is a community, this is a group that cares deeply about our schools, and we know that so many parents and folks in the community also care deeply and were affected by the events of the last couple of weeks. However, as we continue to work and we continue to look forward, our focus is and always should be and has been and will continue to be student achievement and creating an opportunity to have the best possible environment for our kids in our schools. So I want to thank everyone for their efforts in that regard, continued efforts of everyone at this table for that purpose. And Mr. Isola, I will turn it over to you for your superintendent report.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to continue my report this evening, and certainly there's a few pieces of information that I think are noteworthy, and I'd like to share them with our board, of course, and our community at large. So, first of all, last Tuesday was election day, as everybody is fully aware, and I'll speak briefly about the results that are uncertified, unofficial, but they're still working through the provisional ballots throughout the remainder of this week, looks like. But before I do that, I must say, in a climate where elections are particularly ugly and filled with negativity, the 6 members of this community that ran for the Howell Township Board of Ed really were a shining example for what elections should be. Each of them spoke about their beliefs and their thoughts about what the district looks like and what the future direction needs to be. They were women and gentlemen that conducted themselves in class and talked about, from my lens, which was not very close, as I often say, I work with the board and I'm elected. But it was really refreshing, and I think all 6 of our citizen members that were candidates for this board should feel good about the type of campaign or the way they went about seeking a seat on this board. And it was so reassuring about the work that's happening here as a school district. The other thing I wanted to share, and listening to the comments and seeing some of the statements and some of the information that was shared, and I think it was Mr. Jeffrey that said that the candidates tonight that, there's really, the voters here can't go wrong. What an endorsement about the work that this school district and this board has been doing, because all 6 candidates have a positive feeling about the district. No one ran on a campaign to, upend the district. And I just have to share with the board and the community that gives me a real honest sense of pride about the work that's happening here. And again, the 6 individuals were clearly passionate and interested in the best for our children. So I thought that was really important, certainly in my mind and in my soul, and I wanted to share that tonight because too often elections look very different than what we witnessed for this board. So kudos to all 6 of the candidates. While the votes are still, the provisional votes are still being tallied, it is clear that Ms. Okeson certainly will be returning, and Ms. Malley certainly looks like her lead is substantial. So premature congratulations to the 2 of you. Our incumbent board members appear to have secured a seat, and their return looks pretty secure at this point. So congratulations to both of you. Thank you for your willingness to return. We appreciate that. And then certainly the 3rd place spot will be the 3rd board member, and that is, I believe, 6 votes separating currently Mr. Jeffrey and Mr. Parisi, and the provisionals obviously can impact that. So, and again, both of those gentlemen certainly spoke highly about the work that's happening, and I think would be really welcome additions. And I have to also, since I said names, thank Mr. Sanchez and Mr. Tate for the fine work that they have done as citizen members and running for the board, because like I said, the 6 candidates, it was really delightful to see that level of interest in the school district. And I truly hope, whether it's Mr. Jeffrey or Mr. Parisi that joined the board, that the other 3 candidates that do not get awarded the seat stay active, whether it's through the citizen process on committees or strategic planning, which I'll talk about in a second, because obviously all 6 people seem very interested in the success of this district for its students. So that concludes my election report. Across the district this month, and I get to say this month because Mr. Smith and Aldridge moved their assembly for Veterans Day into November for the first time. It's normally the first week of December, but they'll be doing it at the end of November. So throughout this month, we are so fortunate to see wonderful celebrations and Veterans Day assemblies, and had the opportunity to attend Newberry and saw some of our fine students there today celebrating the veterans and paying respect and learning about the sacrifice that our men and women of the United States Armed Forces go through on a regular basis. Both veterans and currently enlisted individuals were present at the individual ceremonies that I've been to, and they will continue throughout the month. Veterans Day and the assemblies that this district commits to is truly a wonderful educational process for our students and engagement with our community. Our buildings are filled with family members and veterans from our own town. And I know that our Vice President, Mr. Bondavani, works diligently with the Committee of Community Interactions and myself. And when you walk in, I know Mr. Bondavani was in attendance today, and Mr. Garman, of course, was with us as well, to see the number of individuals visiting our school and interacting with our children. It truly is the meaning and essence of community interaction. So I had to share that with the board as well. Also, we've launched American Education Week. That's happening throughout our school district, and there's wonderful opportunities for visitations within our buildings. And, so I'm very appreciative of the staff at the buildings for inviting our parents and our community in to see what's happening within our classrooms and within our schools. So I wanted to make sure I took an opportunity to thank the schools for putting on wonderful opportunities throughout the American Education Week. As you know, we have engaged with school boards to launch our refresh of our strategic plan, which will be taking place at the beginning of February. Those notifications, Mr. O'Brien and I drafted a joint letter, and we have pushed those letters out and invited all past strategic planning members that have sat on previous planning committees, and as well as the educational and the community at large. The response has been really nice. It's only been out for a few days now, and I can tell you that the list is filling up nicely. So we're still waiting to hear from a lot of people, but it's certainly obvious to me at this point that we will have a robust task force together, or committee together, to work through our new strategic plan, and that's exciting. And it's parents, it's staff, it's community members, so we're excited. Former students have already responded, so we're excited about their enrollment, their engagement in this massive community interaction project. So I'm really pleased to see that interest. And then finally, for concluding my report, it is the time where I report on the October suspensions, and that is being passed around right now as I speak for your review, but for the record, please note that there were 7 out-of-school and 1 in-school suspensions during the month of October. And with that, my report is concluded, sir.
Mr. Isola, it was my understanding that we'd be inviting the 3 candidates who did not make the election results also to participate in the strategic planning process, if available?
Absolutely. I reached out by email to them this evening, this afternoon, I should say, and encourage them to stay active regardless of the final results. And the feedback already has been positive from those members as well. And they most likely received the invitation already, because we posted on social media and all that, ironically enough, but I will certainly send a personal invitation to all of the candidates.
Someone willing to step up and take on this challenge definitely should be part of that dialogue. Great, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Isola. I believe we are now ready for our committee report.
Committee updates and liaison reports, yes, sorry.
Very good. I'll start over with Ms. Mangano, Howell Township liaison for the planning and zoning committees. Any updates from that?
I know there was planning for the PA that they scheduled change to the next meeting.
Okay.
I was not able to attend.
Of course, I understand.
So that meeting is going to be happening, and also we have to make that appointment to sit down and talk about the channel that
Right. Yeah, I'd like to do that before the end of the year, so Mr. Sanchez, if you could reach out and let the elections are passed and maybe set up that meeting so we can have our liaison and I sit down with the township body and see if we can get further utilization of things like Channel 77 for enhanced communication.
Absolutely. We'd be elected and
Right, whoever can make it happen, and the folks that are going to make the decisions, I think it's important to have that dialogue. Establish that, I know we have a long-standing history of working in close partnership with our municipal colleagues across the town, but this is something where we have a great resource, and I know it's been discussed on this day. It's about utilizing both some old tech as well as new tech. So great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I look forward to that meeting. Okay, very good. Okay, Mr. Miller.
Finance Committee has not met since the last meeting. Our meeting will be Thursday, December 20th at 7 p.m. in the board office, and the committee will go over the audit at that time. We'll also ask the auditor, Mr. Holstock, to come to our future meeting to answer any questions from the full board. We have learned, unfortunately, the state has denied our request for emergency relief of the state aid tax cuts, and their reasoning pretty much was that Howell does too good of a job with long-term planning and budget. The next Monmouth County School Board meeting will be held on Thursday, December 6th at 6 p.m. here, and it'll be a joint meeting between Ocean and Monmouth, and the topics will be superintendent evaluations and social media. And finally, I would like to add to discussion tonight the possibility of starting to advertise for committee citizen members for next year. I know with the Finance Committee, we start our budgeting, and we need to get that committee up and running as soon as this year begins, and we need to get our citizens established as quickly as possible.
Mr. Miller, I do recall that last year we started the process in November. And I don't think we need a discussion item on that. I think it was a sound idea back then. It worked, and we have consensus from the board to continue that. Yes, the more opportunities we have to get citizen members involved and have their voices heard on committees, the better we serve our children. So I would assume that we'll put out that invitation between now and the next one.
Will be done. It has, we've suggested in the past also inform those sitting members that should they wish to continue, they should put a letter in as well.
Right.
With your permission.
Has been our practice over the years, the board meets with administration to discuss what committees best support our strategic plan. I know we're going into a strategic planning process that will obviously give us some new goals and new opportunities, but, obviously finance is going to be a committee that continues and has a very important job to do. So thank you. We'll get that out.
And just if I may, sir, just simply enough, I don't know if we did it last year, but we should put anticipated committees.
Yes.
In case the newly seated board changes.
Yes, that's what we did. Thank you. We did that because the new board does have the wherewithal to change.
That's a win-win.
Absolutely. We need to get the word out and get as many people as possible to the table. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Giovanni.
Community interaction has not met since the last meeting. We are scheduled to have a meeting November 20th, place to be determined, 7 o'clock in the evening. November 20th. I believe that's a Tuesday. On another note, I did attend the New Jersey School Board's Board of Directors meeting on November 2nd. There were a number of things talked about. They talked about the successive workshop, that it was the most widely attended workshop in the history of the organization. They talked about the fiscal situation for the Association for New Jersey School Boards Association, which is all in good shape. There was a lengthy conversation in regards to Mike Ranchik, who's the Director of Legislative Activities, always puts together a wonderful report, and those reports can be found on their website. The other piece of information that was shared both at the workshop for anybody who was there and may have seen it, and was repeated again at the Board of Directors, was the report by the task force about non-college bound learners. We have that on for a discussion item tonight, so I'll go into that just a little bit further then. That's it.
Thanks. Yes.
This past Monday, and we had the 3 agenda items. We talked about the vice president's job description. We already have our board president's job description in place. We talked about the vice president's job description in addition to a job description for committee chairs. So equally, we felt it was important to be able to, as a committee chair, just kind of take some of the pieces from the board president's job description and use it for committee chairs. So, in our role as a committee chair, we are kind of fostering the practices and premises of board president. So it's a very good discussion. We spent a lot of time on our new member handbook. It did come out. I kind of took the chair's privilege in just getting it out to everybody. We did talk about it, and thank you, Mary Rose. Teamwork makes dream work, because she did pick up something. I actually did not get a chance to look at it, but I wanted to make sure that we at least put it out there. So it has come leaps and bounds from our first draft to, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, with the manual. And so we really feel good about it. And so was you going to walk us through it?
Sure. Before Ms. Preston just walked you through that, we had emailed that out. We made the modification that you're speaking to in this version.
Oh, good.
So it's live, and we updated the most current version of the position description that you spoke about. Now, we apologize for that little clip. We were working remotely as we met late on Monday, and then we were out at some assemblies today. Mr. Preston and I were going back and forth, so we inserted the wrong shot there. That's why you see that correction tonight. Really, a lot of the substance was pulled from work that we've already done as a board and have discussed. So it's really just kind of codifying that and putting it into one document. And I know that when we onboarded both Ms. Hokuson and Mr. Thor last year, this manual was very helpful in the orientation process that even had not existed prior. It was one of the charges the board gave administration. So I was pleased to be able to get that off the ground last year. And I think this document that you'll see this evening is even a more robust version and has captured the work that this board has done over the past year and is now inclusive of that. So I truly think when we onboard our newest board member in January, once this document is seen by everyone, we'll meet with him, it will be him, I'm not sure which, him, but it will be him, yeah. And we'll meet with the candidate that's the newest member of the board and go through this thoroughly and give them an opportunity to meet the days with great success. So it was really great meeting, good work. So the first one, I just walk us through briefly since there's that one or two modifications.
We're up. We've got in stereo. So just walking through some of the modifications and changes that resulted from the meeting the other night. These, first of all, these page numbers will change. So as we kind of slide things around, again, the content will remain the same, but we may reorder some things based on the discussion from the other night. The manual was developed in accordance with the bylaw 0144. So we have the actual hyperlink to that bylaw, so again, if anybody wanted to cross-reference what the bylaw suggests, or actually mandates, should be in there versus what we put in there. We included the mission and vision statement, the board mission and vision statement, as it was approved by this board recently. Walking our way through, we have the role of the Board of Education member, which remains largely intact. This is where we're going to resequence based on our conversation the other night. We thought we would put the role of the Board of Education member, the role of the committee chair, and then the role of the president. This will all go into this section, but those are currently in different sections of it. The code of ethics for board members. Again, important board member information such as telephone numbers, email addresses, extension numbers, different documents. Important in that conversation of documents, our bylaws do mandate what documents a new board member must have. In that is the access to all the policies and the district policies and bylaws are all there. Also then specific documents that need to be handed over, and some of them are contained in this document, some of them are given at the time that the new board member starts their term. Code of ethics for the board strategic plan, whatever phase that is in, superintendent contract, minutes and agendas, etc. So where it's applicable, the PL committee recommended putting hyperlinks to those documents if it was appropriate to do so. So those hyperlinks have been included. Added to this list that is not necessarily mentioned in the bylaws is the communication protocol. So we have the communication protocol listed as a document to give all new board members relative to some of the committee work done by community interaction and shared community interaction. And then there's a hyperlink to the actual document itself that's also included as an addenda item to this plan, to this orientation manual. Essential practices for board members, which again is the same reorganization meeting, what to expect, because that's quite an event if you've never been part of a reorganization meeting. Included, this was the catch that Ms. Malley had found earlier, it had the 7 practices as an article from a different magazine. What we did was take the code of practices that this board again has adopted as an official approval and included those to be in here. This work is based on the 8 practices, the 8 characteristics of effective school boards, which was published by the Center for Public Education. So while it's not the same exact set of practices, it was largely influenced by that. So we want to make sure we gave, and right, that work, this work came to be through the retreat work that this board has done. We want to make sure we had that work included, but also the appropriate citations. Again, what is the agenda process for developing the board, for the board agenda? Digital resources available to the Board of Education, again, as appropriate. Remember, we recently migrated to our new website. As these things, as they are appropriate, these things will become hyperlinks. Where they're not hyperlinks, we'll actually do that manually in person. Description of Robert's rules, sort of a pointed outline of Robert's rules, as well as, again, hyperlinks to a sort of what are Robert's rules, and how people understand those important pieces of information. Description of committees and committees that might be ad hoc. So again, we have a description of how the committees work, what do the committee chairs do, and then this is where we included the committee chair role description to be reviewed. That is, again, largely based on the president's role description. So one influences the other with some minor changes of language as it would be appropriate for a committee chair versus the board president. The list of committees, that changes based on the reorg, so in the demand and what are the needs for different types of committees. So as those committees are created, they are then posted. Accountability Act, mandatory trainings, this deals with the governance trainings, etc. Workshop reflection form, so anytime we go to a workshop, we have the reflection form right here. We have our field service representative and contact information, policy services, labor relations, etc. And we're live, so I can make one quick edit there. Appendix there, we have president's position description, which will be moved out of appendix and put up with those other role descriptions. We have, again, our board goals, the 2018-19 board goals, as they've been recently adopted. And again, as we said earlier, the communications protocols, appendix 3. So that everything is in a sort of one-stop shopping, as it might be coming in board members. Thank you, Mr. President.
So, yes, so our intent was to try to have this on the agenda for tonight, or did we want to?
That'll be moved from your committee report, ma'am.
You can make a motion to have that in a second to put it on the agenda. I believe Mr. Township, that will be an agenda item A2.
Yes, that would be A2.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Okay, very good.
And, could we just add, if you so see it necessary, as board secretary, do we need to say approved with noted
I already amended what Mr. Preston gave me to add amended. I amended it to add amended. Approve the amendments to the new board member orientation manual, et cetera, will be A2.
Just want to be added.
With your permission. Yeah, I have a little note.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I think it was the feedback from our new board members too that helped us to identify areas that we needed to support.
Definitely beneficial.
It was a good collaboration.
I think one of us mentioning not only what came out of the community interaction, the kind of dialogue command, the chain,
Communication.
chain, yeah, I think that's helpful too, because I don't think everybody, as they come aboard, necessarily is aware of that. So I think that was a good addition.
One other thing and it's currently on page 9, again, this is going to be renumbered, but having been involved for many years with new board member orientation statewide, one of the things I'm really glad we put on here was the agenda process. In particular, how to suggest an item for discussion that should go to the board president speaks to the superintendent or the appropriate administrative team member, because I will tell you that I've talked to boards throughout the state over the years, and so frequently new board members have said, you know, I'm on the board 5 months, I still don't know how I would get something on the agenda. So I think it's good that we memorialize that process.
Right, absolutely. It's important for every board member to have a voice, and so this is the place to do it. And so thank you.
All right, we did have one last, the data dashboard. So we've had this data dashboard probably going back 2 years. It came out of a statement of Bill Daggett that, you know, effective boards focus on using data to inform our decision making. And so you could just really quick, we still have it. Truthfully, we really haven't used it. It's not been, not to say it's not been functional. I can say I personally have not looked at it, but I think at our meeting, Mr. Arzola came up with an excellent idea, because what's so important is that formative data, the data that happens in between. So if you want to take a few minutes to kind of go over what your proposal is, I think that it's going to be much more engaging and useful for us as a board.
Thank you, Dr. Lowe, and I think you nailed it right on the head. You know, the data dashboard that we've been, the board briefing book, I think is what we officially call it, we've been pushing it out for 2 or 3 years now, and I take great pride in that. While it may have kind of sat on the vine a little bit because of some technology issues with Apple versus Dell and browsers, and Claire's probably going to throw something at me, but certainly I was unaware that there were some difficulties among certain board members because I haven't asked any questions about it, so shame on me. And in a way, shame on you guys for not reaching out to me, saying, you're sending us, we can't open. But the fact of the matter is, there is some good information in there. Again, we're in public session, so I want to make sure that people understand what we're talking about. You get briefed quarterly with attendance statistics, discipline statistics, and that also gets broken down by schools, so you can see where needs might be. And then we can have really meaningful conversations that surround that. We look at our standard state assessment testing. We look at our Renaissance STAR testing processes, and that gets updated regularly. So it's actually a lot of good information that gets broken down to the school level. It doesn't get granular to the point where a board member can find out how a student is doing or how a teacher is doing. That's not the role of the board, but we certainly felt the need. And I took great pride, and I know my colleagues at the senior administration and the building level took great pride in that openness and that transparency. But when I learned through our conversations that we've been struggling a little bit with that, while the information is meaningful and fairly current, again, not as dynamic as it would be for a school administrator, different levels of access. But we thought through it, and what we talked about the other night was really just having some kind of trimester, like our schools are on trimesters, just instead of waiting for the once a year report on data, just come out maybe 3 or 4 times a year, give some updates, show the formative process. We talked about an article that was recently out, sometimes the greatest assessment is a conversation with a student, right? And when we've been delivering our data reports each October for the last 2 or 3 years, they've been getting a little bit more rich in terms of the work that's happening at the school level and among the different departments. It's not just the old-fashioned, here's our statistics, here's our 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. Well, that certainly is existent because that's one of the requirements that maintains its presence in the report. If you remember last year, we showed a video of teachers interacting with our supervisory staff with the data and the rich conversations that surrounded that. So we felt that we can, perhaps continue the board briefing book, but also enrich that by conversations here in the public session with the board, and have various folks join us. I know that the supervisory staff, we don't like to, inundate them with nights out, but certainly I know they take pride in the work that's happening and would partner with us to share some of the information that's happening. What we talked about was going back to our teams and having that dialogue with them and put that on the agenda that we have with them to see what their thoughts about what would be meaningful data to share with the board in an organic way straight from the field. We think that will be very enriching to your lens. That'll give you a very clear lens on how we grapple with data and what it looks like and what decisions we're making based on that. Therefore, you'll have, really a much more in-depth understanding of how we're doing the work and what those statistics actually look like and what they mean and what the impact they have on the day-to-day work, because that's what matters. What's happening in our classrooms is really what matters most, right? So it just was a conversation we had. We're going to go back to our supervisory team and our building leadership, have some dialogue with them and come up with some concepts and some ideas that perhaps we can share out on a regular basis. I know Mr. Bongiovanni has been very vocal about bringing information to the whole board as much as possible without inundating the meeting and making it go to 2, 3 in the morning. But certainly I think we can capture the important work in a reasonable amount of time and give the board and the public some insights into the work that's happening. Again, confidentiality of test scores are always something that we have to protect, and we'll continue to do that. But that was basically the conversation. I think I captured it, Dr. Lowe. Anything else you'd like to ask or for me to talk to, I'd be happy to do so.
Any questions for
Yeah, no,
how people feel about that?
comments from the board. Do we have consensus that would be a good idea to have it come out on a trimester basis? Yeah. Yes.
Just a basic point. I know we often make the comment that we look at a certain moment in time and see what results seem to be. But what we're often really looking at is to see where we are at point X and where we are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months later, and then again a few months later, and what progress we're making. And that's really helpful, so we don't have that 1 year lapse.
I like that, the concept of delta, change, and how the impact of, because at the end of the day, we are policymakers. The superintendent and his team runs the district and provides the educational opportunities for our kids, but our policies support and direct those efforts and a great collaboration. And to be able to see the results of things like our investment in professional development, that was a critical decision we made to take state mandates and convert them to our own brand of leadership and innovation. You know, the PLCs, right, and other things. You know, the stained glass, RTI, everything around here has been not making it cookie cutter, but making it personalized to the student and to look towards each individual and give them supports and guidance towards reaching their full potential. So I found the last report exceptional. Each one was better and better, and I've been doing this for a little while, and each year it gets better. I'm really excited for this board, the opportunity to see it on a more frequent basis and to get that, as Mr. Gurman pointed out, that progression, how we're progressing on our work. Yes?
Numbers are, numbers are often just, for some people, I'm going to include myself in this. Sometimes numbers aren't the thing that I really look at as much as, and I'm going to speak mostly for participation in the education committee. For anybody who is not, whether it's a board member or member of the community who's interested in that, if they've never attended that meeting and listened to the discussions about why are we doing this, why are we doing that, how is this developed, how does it work, I mean, it is really those rich discussions that happen, in particular with that committee, that really are, it's what we do. It's what, you know, we often talk about, what we care about. We care about the students, you know, their safety and everything, but we care about where they're going in terms of their achievement levels. That meeting is the discussion around those numbers that for somebody like me is certainly more important than just looking at a number.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Lowe, that concludes the report. Thank you very much. Ms. Mallett.
Okay, operations met this past Monday, the 12th, and a very rich agenda. So, starting off with, thank you. The State of New Jersey for Schools update. The committee was provided a list of district action steps that can be added to each school building to assist in qualifying for bronze certification. These steps total between 105 and 150 points. And the minimum points required is 180 for certification, so that gives each of our buildings quite a jump start on their certification process. Several of the steps are policies, such as green building or green purchasing, as well as policies promoting physical activity and safe routes to school. And at the committee's request, Mr. Sanchez will forward those policy requests to our policy committee. A discussion follows about our cleaning supplies and use of pesticides and herbicides on the landscape. Mr. Coolidge confirmed that the district is now using only Green Seal certified cleaning products. Ms. Valerie is the only concerned citizen with an attendance. She had reached out to the Buildings and Grounds Department over the summer with her concerns and knowledge, especially about glyphosate use, more commonly known as Roundup. She shared her knowledge and provided the committee with some handouts for informational purposes, including a list of safe alternatives for organic landscape management. We had stopped using glyphosate in the district, but discovered one of our contracted vendors was still using it. That was immediately addressed and remedied, pretty much at the same timing as Ms. Leone's email, right? Mr. Sanazag was around pretty much at the same time. So we have stopped using all herbicides on fields and playgrounds for weed control. We will be returning to the practice of weed whacking and natural weed removal instead of using chemicals that are harmful to the environment and our students. Continuing on to wellness. Newsletters are emailed out periodically with hints and helps on staying healthy during the school year. preventing injuries and accidents. Our next meeting will dive deeper into this topic by speaking more about staff wellness, building environment, food safety, and healthy staff, training staff for wellness programs, flu shots, stress warm, including newsletters and emails. Okay, moving on, the next subject is ESET. We've had an update on ESET. Most of the solar panels are in place. We're waiting for ground mounts, conduit and boxes on the buildings. We're still on schedule to start generating electricity in December. Memorial had 2 hot water heaters installed, up and running, without disrupting the school day, which is quite a feat. The 2 days off for teacher convention came in a very timely manner for that, thankfully. The rooftop units for AC are installed as follows: 3 at LP, 5 at Ramtown, and the split systems at Ardina. The new units are a lot quieter than older units being replaced, as well as much more efficient. The LED lighting is saving money, especially with light sensors in every room. There has been a bit of an adjustment to stop reaching for light switches. But because walking into the room actually turns on the light, so people are still going to reach for those switches. But other than that, all is going well with that. Next, we moved on to our transportation update. First mentioned, we have to make a huge thank you to our police department for helping with alleviating the traffic delays in the mornings and afternoons due to the bridge on Ramtown Greenville being out, especially at the Newton's Corner intersection. Bridge work has begun and contractually should be completed by December 27th. If the work is indeed completed in time for our return to school after winter break, all affected parents will be notified that the timing of the pickups and drop-offs may change. The routes, however, will not. The other project came to our attention, Freewood Acres Sewer Project has been approved. It's expected to take 3 years for completion, so we are watching that and preparing for any delays out of cost. Our GPS Zonar system is completely installed, and full implementation of the routing software will be completed by the 20th of this month. As a follow-up to our first special needs driver and aid training, a second one has been scheduled, and our contract companies are always invited and encouraged to pursue this important training. They do the required state training, but we will continue to stress the importance of more than that. Special needs registry stickers are in place on all identified classrooms for the emergency response teams. And we did discuss having stickers on the buses, but because of the tiered routing, every bus would need a sticker, which defeats the purpose of identifying specific buses. Lastly, there's a food services update. All is going well. The October report is due out on the 15th, which is tomorrow, for comparison purposes to the September report. We discussed the issue of specialty drinks costing $2 and up, resulting in some surprises for middle school parents when they realize that school bus money is dwindling too quickly. It was suggested that prices be visible so students can see the cost of these extra items. And when Mr. Sanisak followed up with food services, this step had already been taken at the suggestion of Dr. Hennig at South. So Aramark also did the same thing at North. In addition to that, the drinks that are included with the meals are separated and clearly identified for the students as well. So they can clearly see, these are the drinks that are included, these are the ones that cost extra, and how much they cost. So that was a great step taken there. The September minutes were approved, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Thor. With food services, I'm glad I don't need. With food services, obviously it's been popular. I get to talk to a lot of the middle schoolers. They love it. How has Aramark been with staffing? The one feedback I've got from some parents, specifically in the middle schools, is that it's actually been so popular, like on Asian food days, in particular, the lines are so long that kids haven't gotten food with enough time to eat. So are they monitoring the staff based on what they're serving? How is that working?
Yes, we have talked about that. We did have issues with the lines, and we were addressing some of those issues. Is there any more information on that?
Well, yes, and they continue to add when the participation demands it. However, if a certain pizza day becomes so popular, there's going to be a line. There's a certain throughput that's possible, but We work with the contractor. I have a meeting scheduled for as Ms. Malley said, the October 15th. We'll address that again. If you have those specific concerns and specific days, let me know, because the principals have been reporting that the lines have been much quicker. So maybe there's a specific problem I can work on with.
Yeah, it seems to be with specific food offerings. It's a good problem to have. That means that.
Well, that's, you know,
services work.
and I always, Mr. Isola would probably giggle when I say, I always use the example, when you build a mall, you don't build the parking lot big enough for Christmas Eve parking. You just couldn't afford to support it the rest of the year. So on those busy days, we have to find other ways to deal with it. So, and we will, and they've been a great partner, and we'll find a way if it is. But I have not heard that recently. That's why I would like to have more specifics if you could refer them to me,
I will
please.
do that. And again, good problem to have. It means we're heading in the right direction. Just want to make sure the kids have enough time to eat food that they want to eat.
Absolutely. Great, thank you.
That concludes your report, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to quote you.
That's a great analogy.
Mr. Gerber?
At this time, I don't have anything new to report from the policy committee. Turning to the legislative advocacy committee, we really will put together a date, find a date to go down to Trenton. We talked about the members of the committee, to talk to Mike Baranchik and the other people in the legislative area from school boards. And there are a whole slew of topics that I won't go through again that are of interest. Just to add a couple of things, I know when we talked, we'll add more things, is now that state, the bond issue which passed election day, that may be something to look at. And just one other point, which I know we'll look at coming up in the future, I know that some of us go down to Washington for legislative advocacy early in the winter, and perhaps we can turn our attention to some of the questions and issues on the federal level. Obviously, we've talked about testing and the other issue, which again is premature, but there is talk about possibility of infrastructure bills. And again, while we talk about roads and highways, we talk about bridges and tunnels and water systems, they're all valid. There was talk last year in Washington about schools as well, and I've heard that in some of the news reports. So it's something else we might want to just get a little information on and see what our state board is looking at as well.
Very good. I think going forward, as new committees are established, I believe legislative advocacy has been a vital part of our efforts to communicate what the public has told us they think is important, and what we feel is important as educators for supporting our programs here. So, I'm sure that work will continue going forward. Thank you. And for those who are planning to attend down in DC, I think that's a great opportunity for us to continue the dialogue and make sure we're getting our voices heard both at the state and the federal level. Okay. I guess that concludes the report, then, Mr. Completed community reports.
It is now time for the first public comment.
First public comment, absolutely.
Whereas the Howell Township Board of Education determined that comments from the public may last 45 minutes and they will be conducted in accordance with its bylaw 164.1. Individuals may be limited to 3 minutes each. We also respect the time of the call. Will be the President of the Board, Mr. Timothy O'Brien. With your permission, may the floor be open. Are there comments at this time? Seeing none, sir, may the floor be closed.
Yes. Okay.
Moving right along, it is time for discussion.
Yes, okay, our first discussion item, I believe, is on social media. And to frame it, our board attorney, in response to some questions about social media, and speaking with our policy chair and business administrator and board secretary, forwarded a copy of a sample bylaw for consideration and possible discussion. If we were to do anything tonight, it would be as part of the first read process, because we go through a system of looking at things, then possibly referring it back to committee, and then bringing it back to the board again at a future date for a second read, and possible adoption or not, depending on the board's pleasure. But before we go into discussion, I thought, Mr. Wooders, if you could speak a little bit to the topic.
Yes. Let me speak to two parts of it. One is the process, so that everyone understands the process. And very simply, what what was done was, tonight, a draft of a bylaw was proposed to the board. That was done in accordance with bylaw 131, entitled Bylaws and Policies. And under bylaw 131, bylaws and policies may be adopted, amended, or repealed at any meeting of the board, provided the proposed adoption, amendment, or repeal has been proposed and approved at a previous meeting of the board. So the process is, initially, the bylaw would be approved. Then, by the way, the policy goes on to say that a revised bylaw can be suggested by anybody. It could be the staff member, it could be a board member, it could be a member of the administration, and any suggested new or revised bylaw may be referred at the discretion of the president, to the superintendent, to a board committee, to an advisory committee, to the public. So first off, while you have followed the process of policies usually emanate from a policy committee, that's not a requirement. It doesn't have to go to the policy committee. It can be referred to any number of people. In this case, you may want to refer it to the policy committee. You may want to refer it, bless you, to staff. Of course, you're going to make it available to the public so that they can comment on it. But basically, that's the process. So as to the bylaw itself, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I think it's important to give you, and while the board is, for the most part, read the proposed bylaw, for the members of the public, sort of give you a view from 40,000 foot to summarize what the purpose of this bylaw is. And the beginning paragraph says, in accordance with the School Ethics Act, Board of Education members must avoid conduct which is in violation of the public trust or which creates a justifiable impression among the public that such trust is being violated. To avoid the contact that may be in violation or perceived to be in violation of the School Ethics Act, the Board of Education adopts this policy to provide guidance to the board members in their use of social networks. Guidance. It goes on to say, nothing in this policy prevents a Board of Education member from using a social network. However, a board member must avoid conduct on a social network that would violate the School Ethics Act, which includes Code of Ethics for board members. And it goes on and it gets to the point where it says, and this is the important part, when using social networks, board members are advised, not directed, not mandated, are advised to, and then it lists 7 different items that the board members need to be mindful of when you're using social media. And that's really basically the intent of this bylaw change, so that board members have a guideline, an advisory guideline to follow when they are using social media, so that they do not run afoul of the School Ethics Act and the school code, board member code of ethics. So,
and the key words are advisory and guidance.
Correct.
The ability of board members to utilize social media to communicate on is not.
No, not at all. But board members are advised, as I said, there are basically 7 guidelines that most of which are common sense. Board members are advised not to post anything that would violate any of the district's policies. Make sense? Not to disclose confidential information. Not to use or refer to their Board of Education title or position when soliciting for a business organization. To refrain from having communications through social networks with other board members regarding board business. Anyway, again, they're all common sense. But as with the other information that is being made available to new board members, the intent of this bylaw is to be information for all board members to be able to resort to and rely on when, and to give them guidance when doing, using social media.
And everything in this bylaw, from my understanding, it simply reflects back to the position of the school ethics and the ethics act and everything else, and how board members conduct themselves appropriately on social media.
Correct. The whole point is to focus the board members' obligations under the School Ethics Act. That's the sole purpose.
And this was created by Strauss Esnet?
That's correct.
Ms. Callen, we've been working with Strauss Esnet for a while now, and they've been helpful in terms of guidance on updates and statutes and regulations over the years. So,
Yeah, they constantly monitor and update their policies and send us updated guidance for various policies regularly.
right. So the discussion tonight around this bylaw and any possible action would be really around the first read. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, again, the process is that in order to actually adopt the bylaw, it has to be first approved at a board meeting and then made available to the public for their examination. It can be referred to the policy committee for their comment. It could be referred to the administration for their comment question. And then following that process, at the next board meeting, if there are minor changes that can be made, if there are major changes, then the policy would have to be resubmitted for approval, a reapproval. But assuming that's not the case, then it would be approved and become a bylaw. But,
yes.
So based on this bylaw, obviously, some of the items you mentioned, common sense.
right.
What other, in plain speak, what other limitations would there be as a board member for what they can and cannot say on social media? Obviously, there was discussion around a recent community event that a number of us commented on online, and situations in the past where people have answered questions, board members have answered questions online.
Right.
Or gathered information where they suggest somebody speaks to the superintendent and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What limitations would we have as board members, and where's that line kind of drawn?
Again, I don't know that limitation is the right word. This is advisory. The point of this is to help you as a board member determine what you can do and what you can't do so that it doesn't run afoul of the School Ethics Act. So one of the items, it says, for example, and again, it says, this is, board members are advised not to respond to any postings regarding Board of Education or school district business, or respond to any questions or inquiry posted to the board member, or posted on any social network regarding Board of Education or school district business, and shall refer all questions and inquiries to the superintendent. That's an advisory. You're going to have to use, each board member would have to use their own judgment when they respond to postings. But this gives you an idea of how you should at least consider your response to a post and refer questions to the superintendent instead of trying to answer the question yourself.
My understanding, I can see where you're going. One of the things we included in our orientation package, I think you noted, was the public communication protocol, which I think would be very helpful for both the board and for the public to understand. Because I think communication is always available. The district leadership and the building leadership are always available to the public in terms of communication. Sometimes there's a lack of awareness of how that communication protocol is handled. and the best way to communicate to the district. But from that point of view, reflecting back to what Mr. Luter said, I found myself over the years referring back to that communication protocol every time I encountered a question. And I found that was very helpful because a lot of times when it was happening, was a question was answered more rapidly, more accurately by an expert at the building level than I was able to do. And I know it's something that we have to continue to communicate to the public through our website, through whatever means possible, to let them know how we want to be able to engage in that communication, especially around issues that involve kids. We want to make sure we get a fast, timely response that's accurate and, benefits the child or the situation. So, hopefully that's...
What other kind of responses might you advisory-wise as questionable when it comes to the ethics? Anything that hasn't been discussed?
I don't think so. I think the general, again, the last item says not post any information on a social network determined by the New Jersey School Ethics Commission to be a violation of the New Jersey School Ethics Act. It all goes into the School Ethics Act, which includes the board member code of ethics. And it's advisory to say this is how you can comport yourself on social media and participate in social media without running afoul of the School Ethics Act. That's the intent.
So with the recent incident that did occur, was not involving school business or business. So that's where it seems that, our voice is kind of taken away from us as an individual. I know it's advisory. I think we should all know what we should not do on social media. And we all should not be discussing, I don't think anyone else would be discussing what is there, confidential information there, about your opinion, about community events. There's no harm in that.
You may be right. Again, this is advisory. It gives you examples. It's going to be up to you to determine whether you think what you're doing. This helps you make that determination. But the point is not, you can't come up and the intent is not to try to prohibit this. You're getting too many questions and too many issues. So it's up to you.
It's a good point, that at the end of the day, we built an orientation package and to establish professional learning to enhance our understanding of what we can do and can't do as board members to be more effective. This particular bylaw, maybe some concerns about it being restricted, but based on what I've heard from our attorney, it's not. It's guidance and advisory. At the end of the day, each board member has to conduct themselves using their own judgment on social media. Unfortunately, the social media has a wide audience, and oftentimes the intended audience is not necessarily the wrong audience. So they have to be cognizant of everything you say is an audience of millions, not all of whom necessarily are benign. But what we can do is, my understanding is right here on the dais, where we can really express ourselves effectively, because here we can take action as a board, and we can affect change. And that's really how I think we're the most effective for our community. But when we talk to our, I like all of us, both parents, children in the district, and met so many people on soccer fields and different places like you do, everyone on us. That communication protocol is key. If we follow the bubbles and get people to the right people in our district that can help answer the questions, I think that's what we need to serve the public. And making sure. At the end of the day, if we're the last resort. If they can work through the system and work with our superintendent's team, and they're not satisfied, they have an avenue to come to us as a board after they've gone through a process of working with the administration to, respond to those issues and see if there's a solution. And if that's not satisfactory, they can then, and have in the past, come to us, and we can sit and listen to them and see whether or not there's more that needs to be done. So, yeah.
I just wanted to state once, I think it started earlier this year, when we had attended a board leadership workout where they had a little small mini session on the issue of social media. And that was at the point where we were looking to develop, I think it may have been after that. But like I said, and I do respect everyone's opinion in regards to that, and it is a personal right and decision. But I know things have changed with QSAC, but ethics charges can be filed anonymously. And so my whole point was that from that January leadership workshop we attended, and then in April I attended a half-day session that was sponsored by school boards. And it was actually very good because I'm learning, this whole process. It was done by attorneys, and there's so much litigation out there, so much, every single day. And that was April, and I'm sure there's more that's been out. And so while a situation may be seeming innocent, and I agree, we don't want to give up our rights, but I look at it for me, when I'm one individual person, I'm not willing to take that chance. In my other life, I had someone who filed ethics charges on the board, and it impacted our QSAC score. I think they made that change, so that even the filing of it impacts the whole board. So while I do respect everyone's rights, I'm in favor of the bylaw because it's just not worth it for my time here during the years. I mean, I hope that I'll be on the board for many, many years because I'm committed to the work. But I just learned a lot, and I just don't want to put anybody, particularly the board, in a situation where there's litigation. Anybody can sue. So I think the bylaw will help us. Board counsel is for guidance, and that's why we have a board attorney. And so I'm in support of the bylaw. I did read it, and I think it'll help protect us, in my personal opinion.
Further comments or questions? Seeing none, what's the process? We get a motion to put what's on the agenda as A1, or do we need a motion to have it for a first read?
Yes, except it would be A3, we're up to A1 and 2.
Right, sorry. We would need a motion and a second and a vote to put it on the agenda for a first read, which would then start the process of evaluation further. And assuming that it comes back with no material changes, my recommendation would be to put it back to the policy committee and have them review it. And then if there are any modifications that need to be made, as long as they're not substantive and major, we would then have a second read where it would be adopted, assuming we had the consent of the board. If there were major changes, then we would start the process over again and would be brought back to the board for a first reading. Okay.
And at the time that it's sent back to policy, the community would have a chance to review.
The community will have an opportunity to review the policy, will be posted, be made public, and also the public policy committee will visit the public meeting. Of course, will be put on that agenda as well, assuming that that's the board's pleasure. Mr. Bongiorno? Move it. Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Bongiorno, Dr. Lowe, should we take it around simply?
You could just do a voice vote to put it on, and then I'll take the whole consent agenda with your permission.
All right, voice vote then, yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? No? Okay, it's on for first read, we'll then be sent back to policy. Okay. I know we have lateness of the hour. I was wondering if we could move the consent agenda up because I know some of the board members have some family obligations.
Discussion.
Right, that is true, but Dr. Long, do you want to leave? Okay.
I just wanted to explain, not that I have to, we all know I have a mom that's 91 years old, so I made a mistake. I need to get to Wellingborough tonight so I can pick up her prescriptions. I'd just like to be excused
Yes.
for the discussion. It's a great discussion, but it was my fault. I should have done it earlier.
And we respect the independent minutes of the board members and staff of the committee, so thank you. No? Thank you. So we have a second discussion item, which we continue with business. I believe, who is it? Money on this side?
I'll try to make this pretty quick. There were at least 3 of us who attended a program and a workshop regarding the release of a task force report that was put together by New Jersey School Board. Dan Sinclair, who's the current president, had begun the task force back in September, and the issue really is it looked at educational opportunities for the non-college bound learners. And the initial thought is, well, we're a K-8 district. Where are we really involved in opportunities for the non-college bound? But there were probably 80 different suggestions that came out of this report. But I'm just going to hit a couple of them fairly quickly. One of the major questions that they asked for is is education the best preparation for every student? And again, that's a community and a culture question, but what it said was local school districts should provide appropriate career awareness guidance to students who are contemplating post-secondary education with honest conversation about college readiness and the availability of other pathways. I go to Dunkin' Donuts almost every morning. There are college graduates working at Dunkin' Donuts who are making minimum wage. There are also people who have graduated high school and gone into plumbing or electric or whatever else who are making a lot more than I make now or will make. A couple of other items that came out of this. One that said, and again, this was done through New Jersey School Board, but with the cooperation of a number of regional people, a number of people from the DOE, some colleges were involved in helping to look at this. And I'll read 4 of the bullet points and I'll let it go. Parents and guidance counselors should be involved in discussions of CTE. CTE is career technical education, if you're not familiar with the term. Parents and guidance counselors should be involved in discussions of career technical options and their benefits with students as early as the 7th or 8th grade. Another point, again reading it, the New Jersey Department of Education and local school districts should study the Colorado CareerWise program, a public-private partnership that provides 3-year apprenticeships to students starting in junior year of high school and leading to industry credentials and associate degrees. Again, how does that involve us when we only go up to 8th grade? Well, let me read 2 other points and I'll let it go. School districts should ensure that the curriculum provides all students with instruction in the soft skills, such as punctuality, teamwork, that are necessary for workplace success, as well as experience with web-based courses. I believe it was Mr. Jeffries during the candidates meeting who talked about making sure that our students just don't know the math and the history, but how to think, how to work as teammates with other people. And school districts should educate parents and students about the cost and return on investment for all post-secondary opportunities, as well as methods to reduce the expense. My suggestion, and I'll leave it open to the other 2 board members who were at the same presentation, I'd like to see this be sent back to education to at least look at, and can we find certain things in here that we can incorporate into what we're doing, or at least give it to second thought. Mr. Sanisak and I had a conversation. He was already thinking of some different things that happened here in this district that would involve students who maybe are looking to do non-college careers. So I think there are certainly opportunities. It might even be, talking about, look, New Jersey School Boards Association is the only school board association in the country, the only one that has an Army career person embedded in their organization to help students think about careers in the Army. I mean, we read the presentation today for Veterans Day. We heard one gentleman, he was in the service for 32 years. That's not because he was drafted and decided to keep. He made careers out of it. So it's a conversation I think we could at least think about bringing. I know that Mr. Azzola probably has had multiple conversations with Mr. Sampson, who's very much a guy who likes to talk about how do we bring career and technical back into the high school. So I'd invite Mr. Governor or out to talk to Mr. Miller. It's late. If they have anything to add, but if not, I'd certainly like to see this sent to education.
Yes.
Seeing that, are actually in the process of rewriting some of the math curriculum, but not in the traditional pathway, but in a pathway based on the career, so that if they want to go to STEM field, they want to go to the non-STEM field, or they want to do. Are you yelling at me? But
if we can all just try to do a little better job using our mics, it doesn't get recorded, not whether or not the public here can hear you. It renders our recording useless, basically. So, although we all have good cafeteria voices, let's use mics.
Okay. So basically what they were saying is that we're rewriting our math curriculum currently on a pathway base, so not whereas a kid is pushed into a level, so that's the level they're in, that they choose what they want to take based on their career. The struggle we have at the high school level is no one wants to accept that they're not going to college. And, you know, you may not think it, and, you know, but when they're there coming in 9th and 10th grade, everybody goes to college, whether they do or don't. And, you know, that's our struggle.
Right, not every child's going to Harvard, you know, some of them are going to become electricians.
Hey, I am stunned by the fact, I'm sorry, Mr. Goodman.
No, there are a few things.
All right, but if I might just finish, a friend of mine is the head of HR for PCHR, and, you know, I was complaining to him one day because it was taking me weeks to get in my price range for service. What's going on? You know, what's happening? He said, we have a shortage. We're paying, our top mechanics are making $150,000 a year and work 4 days a week. Because we have to hold them, because they're so valuable. We can't, yeah, it's astounding. I have to wait till the 19th to get my price on. The check engine light comes on. I'm out of luck. I have to, you know, I'm sitting there, I park in the driveway and wait for the 19th because you have no bandwidth. They are so short-handed of qualified people. And these are jobs that require the type of skill sets that we are providing. We look at our STEM, our STEAM tank, with all the things you were mentioning. As you were talking about collaboration, teamwork, everything else, I was thinking we're doing that in our general way to prepare our students for a more specific alternate track. And I think it's great that the Field Regional is doing it. And I think it's worthy of discussion at education to bring it back and see where we can enhance our preparation to give students a greater awareness that college isn't the only valid track and not the only one that they should be aspiring to. You know, it's important for children to realize that the opportunities abound in many, many areas outside of the traditional narrow four-year degree and the associated $150,000 to $250,000 that can come with it. Yes.
I would pick up, actually, just come back on what you just said. So many of the things are so valid. Number one, when we're talking about our students in K-8, we're not trying to close off their futures. We're trying to give them every option in the world to make them aware of all the possibilities to grow and develop and prosper. So it's not a matter that, you know, necessarily we're trying to shoehorn them into a particular area. But just to pick up just briefly on some of the things you said, Mr. O'Brien. I mean, the reality is we have an amazing program now, whether we talk about technology program in general. And when we're making this auditorium full of all the students who receive awards for all the work in technology. We see the work in STEAM. We see the work in robotics. All this area that, you know, we're already doing so much, and with computers and the like. And the reality is it might be helpful if we go back, and Mr. Bongiorno said, perhaps to the Education Committee, to look at what we already have in place, and to look at, you know, the things that we already have. And it's more a matter of making the students and their parents a bit more aware that they're not deciding at this moment, but to think of all those possibilities. I mean, we talked about, just briefly, I'm really picking up on a lot of things you said, but we've talked about the auto mechanic. The points were made that there's a tremendous demand for welders in this country. And many of these people who are in the field now are in their 50s. That's the average age. So we need people in those areas. And frankly, when I came into this community or any community I go to, I want to know, well, who's the doctor I should go to? Who's the plumber? I want to know. I need a plumber. That person's important. So, but the thing about our students is just give them that opportunity to be aware of what's there. We have various clubs. Think how many students go into cooking clubs. Think how many things we might be able to look for, just as we have band and we have sports and we have various activities. Perhaps we could enhance the clubs. Perhaps we could bring in more outside speakers, just to give the students a bit more awareness of what's going on. And just one more thing, because really this has been covered. I know I've really been interested the last couple of years on the board about the word articulation. Our articulation with the regional high school district. It's a great district, but I just feel I'd like to know a little bit more. I know we've gotten that information when I was at Education Committee, but I'd love to see us enhance that again. Where are our students going? How many go into all the various programs in the regional district? And there are so many of them. And to perhaps get our students ready to perhaps decide to maybe to apply for some of them. And I know we've looked into that, I know it was raised, but perhaps we can do more in that area. So this is really an exciting area to give our students more opportunities.
For anybody who wants to read the full report, just so you know, it is on New Jersey School Board's website. If you don't feel like going to the website, I can certainly share my copy with Mr. Sensac, and he can get it out to you.
I think it's a great idea. Do we have consensus to send it back to education?
I do want to say one thing, and I think I come with a unique perspective as somebody who's worked in higher education for almost 20 years. There's almost a stigma if you don't go to college nowadays. I think it's kind of an expectation that, right or wrong, that most parents have for their children. And that's a good thing, because everybody, you want to push for as much education as possible. Ms. Okerson made a three-pointed comment that I think that people don't want to admit that maybe college isn't the best option for them, if there's other options out there. I cannot tell you how many times you see, again, me working at college level, somebody go to school for 1 or 2 years before they realize, you know what, this is really not where my heart is or where my interest lies, and by that point, you may have blown, depending if you're a public or private school, $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 that you're responsible for paying back, especially if you took loans. So I think even at the younger ages, if we inform people that there are other options, and there's nothing wrong with having interests outside of biology or something like that. So
plant the seeds early on so that they have an inoculation against.
Clearly, I need to become a mechanic if they're spending $150,000 a year.
Very good. Do we have consensus to send it back to education?
Yeah, and I just want to make 2 quick comments. One, yes, it should go back to education. That is obviously the laser focus of our K-8 district. But also, I do want to remind the board, because I'm proud of it, as a part of the bigger community and the broader community of education, we're also partnering our bus maintenance department as interns from the high school VOTAC. And to branch out from that, on election day, the state passed a $500 million bond referendum, which is focused on career and technical. And we are researching that to see where some of those types of things may be able to fit in to make our delivery of our education even more efficient. So those are some of the things we'll be looking at and we'll be bringing to the various committees going forward. So it's all tied together, but obviously the K-8 is our primary, but the rest of it is still part of our mission for the greater community. So I felt like I had to throw that in there.
And well, I think it's agreed that our district has great initiatives in place. We're working and, as always, partnering with our field regional partners. So with that, we have consensus. Yes, Mr.
Yeah, just real quick. We're trying to conclude this. And it was said a couple times, was kind of brushed over. Our school district is preparing kids for many different options. One of the things that we must realize is that certainly at the K-8 level, pre-K-8 level, the prerequisite skills in terms of mathematics, literacy, and tech, and all those other subjects are not different. The auto mechanic that you talk about,
computer science.
Right, his skill set is such a different skill set than the auto mechanic that we went to when we were, that our dad took us to, or our granddad took us to. So our work is certainly on course to prepare kids for various different options. First. Second of all, and I think Mr. Gerber said it, I think what we will find through our work through the Education Committee and the direction so given is the celebration of the things that we are doing to expose kids to various career paths. The work we do with the regional high school, I heard you say that, Mr. O'Brien. But by no means do I want feeling in this public arena to say that we've been absent-minded or lack focus in the area of promoting different options for students. And we send kids to the career techs, we send kids to the academic schools that are vocational. I personally advocate for kids to attend regional, so that I think it is the finest opportunity for our local kids. But we, and I've been very vocal about that, so what we will find in our exploration through the Education Committee, I think, will be more of a reinforcement of or confirmation of the work we're doing, and certainly areas where we can enhance that. But I think what you will find, because I can speak to it for a very long time, is that the foundation is very strong in setting prereq skills for kids to explore opportunities in very different areas. So, but I think it's a great idea, and I certainly also support education. Dr. Lowe's going to take a look at that.
Just to add on, Mr. Thor mentioning about parents advocating for that to be the path. I think what education also needs to look at is the message the parents are receiving, not just the students. That the definition of success does not mean a college diploma. The definition of success means that the child is doing something that they're passionate about or that they found is their path, and it may not be college. And I am a complete proponent of that. This whole study that they did, I was so supportive of it. And I am in a minority. When I talk to my children, I'm constantly reinforcing that college may not be the path for you. There's so many other options. I am in the minority. When I talk to other parents, they're all talking about what college their kids are going.
Because it's cultural.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You absolutely know that there is a stigma associated with it. What we need to do is just prepare kids to be prepared. And be lifelong learners. I mean, we talk about our P3 program, right, play, passion, practice, right, that blends right into that. We can talk about, again, and I don't want it's getting late, but the point is, Ms. Malley, that you're spot on. So the education and the communication with parents is probably an area we can look at enhancing. However, being a K-8, those are really rich conversations at the high school level that I would encourage our partners there to continue. But let me tell you, when I explored college with my own children, the dean at TCNJ said it jokingly, and like we all laughed when she said this statement, and then she said, no, wait, I'm not kidding. She says, I don't need to see your child's team record from kindergarten. I don't need to see the landscape picture he or she drew in kindergarten. Don't send it to me. So we all giggled. Room full of parents and prospective students. She said, no, I'm serious. You're all going to do it. I get it every year. So parents are beginning to think about what college they want to go to when the kids are 5. Anyway.
The culture, to wrap it up, basically, I take one exception. My favorite class in high school was auto mechanics. Okay, and let me tell you something. That was probably one of the more challenging classes. You haven't lived until you've had to try to rebuild an engine, and if you don't understand what you're doing, you don't understand.
You may get some experience if the 19th engine light comes on.
Right, exactly. Well, no, I can't even look at that engine because it's all covered with plastic. I don't know. Circuits are very deep in the engine, but the point is, you're right. What I alluded to earlier is we are supporting the ability of our children to pursue any track. There's a great dialogue here tonight where we might have to enhance our communication and how we position parents for supporting their children as they follow their individual.
But to your point, Mr. Edsel, they definitely do have the foundation. And the foundation, whether you're going to auto mechanics or to be a math teacher, is the same. Like, they still need to know the fractions, still need to know the math. And you don't want to pigeonhole the kids too early either. Like, you don't want to tell the kid he's not going to college in 5th grade either. You want that, all the doors to be open.
I think some kids are making decisions based on what their parents are telling them to do rather than what the kids want to do at times. And I see that a lot at the college level every day.
Well, we have a good dialogue here, and I think it's clear we can send it back to education for further dialogue. Appreciate the discussion. It was very good.
My favorite class in high school was the wood shop. And I still have a bench from 30 years ago that's not broken yet.
I still have one of those.
Yes, all my fingers are still here.
Anyone ever went to a
Thumbs.
All right, moving on. All right, stay corny. I know. All right. We are done with discussion items. I believe the next piece of business is,
Consent agenda.
there you go. Okay. We have the consent agenda. Yes.
Consent agenda and 3 addenda. Coming out of executive, A1 is an increment withholding, approving withholding of adjustment and experience increments for Cynthia and Curiel for the 2019-2020 school year. Number 2, A2 would be approve the amendments to the new board member orientation manual at the recommendation of the Board Professional Learning Committee for the 2018-19 school year. And A3 would be approved bylaw 0169, approve the first reading of bylaw 0169.02.
Very good.
Title, board member use of social networks.
Okay. We need a mover.
Get a mover second.
Move it.
Moved by Ms. Malley, second.
Second.
Silverstein.
I take that on, sir.
You do.
Ms. Malley.
Yes.
Mrs. Oakerson.
Yes.
Mr. Gerber.
Yes.
Dr. Love.
Dr.
Oh, I'm
Lawrence,
sorry,
are you
Dr.
ready?
Love, I apologize. Mrs. Mangano.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Thorpe.
Yes.
Mr. Bonjamon.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Consent agenda and the 3 addenda items are approved. 8 votes in favor, none opposed.
Thank you very much. I believe it's time for second public comment.
And there is a second public comment at this time. Whereas the Howell Township Board of Education determines comments from the public may last 45 minutes, and those comments will be conducted in accordance with the bylaw 164.21. Individuals may be limited to 3 minutes each. The officers, with respect to time in the forum, will be the president or the comments at this time. Then you will be open for the comments at this time.
Seeing none.
Seeing none.
Doors closed.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
The board is adjourned.
You're adjourned.